Welcome back to Salty Sunshine Book Club. Salty books, if you will. Hi, Brianna.
Hey, how you doing?
We're back. I'm doing good. We both finished Bye Baby by Carola Lovering. I wonder if you say her name Carola or Carola. Is it Spanish?
Depends where she's from.
Right. So, did you know she wrote the book Tell Me Lies, the one that's a show on Hulu?
I've never seen that show, actually.
I thought you did.
Did I?
Yeah, the
Oh,
one
wait,
with,
is that the one about the college students?
yeah, with the F boy.
Oh. Oh, that's kind of crazy.
Isn't it?
Okay.
I know. So this is the first book I've read of hers that I can remember. I've never seen her name before. So now I'm like, okay, her books are probably really good, so we'll look into it.
Back and read Tell Me Lies, because I don't really remember what happens. Or I don't even think all the seasons came out, so.
Right. Okay,
But
so
I will say this book was. I love the way it was written, but it was anticlimactic for me.
anticlimactic, like not enough drama.
Well, yeah, it didn't really go anywhere.
Well, it's the story. I mean, it's definitely not a thriller. It's more like a drama of two best friends. They met in 7th grade. They were inseparable. So it's Billy and Cassie, and Billy is the more humble, nice girl, and Cassie, and they come from different backgrounds. Like she doesn't have a lot of money, Billy, and then Cassie has a rich grandmother, which makes her feel she's rich, but her dad messed it up or something. And but she's like, stuck up and rude and whatever. But they're inseparable, best friends. Then Billy's mom is like seems like a nice lady in the book, but then she dates like this big time loser and then ends up marrying him, and she ends up with Alzheimer's or dementia and deteriorates, and this loser is like gross and like starts abusing Billy. And long story short, they grow up, they go to different colleges, but of course they stay in touch because they're best friends. And then as adults, both living in New York, Billy is distraught because Cassie has what would you call that, distanced herself. She's like they've grown apart, and she's desperate to be Cassie's friend, and Cassie has a whole new group of people, a new husband, and she's just not having it. She turned influencer, and that's the premise of the book. What do you rate it?
Well, again, I love the writing style and how she writes. It's a very easy read. But are we doing it out of 5?
Yeah,
A 3.
I teeter between 3.5 and 4.
Okay.
um I feel like it's so hard to rate books 1 through 5, because I mean, who are you gonna rate? What are you gonna rate a one? And then a 1 and 2, like you don't use, right? So it's basically 3 to 5, right? Unless it was horrible. And so I don't know. To me, a quote unquote good book that I would rate 4 to 5 are books that I can't wait to pick back up and keep reading. Sometimes I struggle to like finish a book because it's like I want to finish, but then deep down I don't. I don't know.
Well, okay, so this one, you want to keep reading it because it makes it seem like there's more and something more is going to happen. And then you get to the book and you're like, that was it?
It does feel very real life though. Like it's very interesting, except for the stealing of the baby. My God, who does that?
Right. And why wouldn't she just like confess? Like, just be
But
like,
the
oh,
really,
I'm
then the book would be over. Well,
right,
actually,
right.
no. Okay. Let's start with the thoughts and questions here. Are you a are you Team Cassie or Team Billy? I mean, obviously, I'm Team Billy.
Um, okay, Team Billy, yes, but I do think she's like kind of pathetic.
Really
Yeah,
pathetic
just
because of the incident, or in general?
no, in general, like her obsession with Cassie. I do understand it though, because she was like abused when she was younger and Cassie was the one that was there. But she's a little pathetic.
Interesting. Interesting. I saw a
Cassie
TikTok.
obviously changed and she just wanted
Did
a
she
different
though?
life.
I don't think she changed. She seemed pretty
Well,
bitchy
no,
from
that's
start
right.
to
That's she
end.
was always what?
She seemed pretty bitchy from start to end.
I guess, yeah, she always wanted a certain life. But that's the thing, like, Billy's one of those friends that doesn't have a backbone and just, like,
Yeah,
does whatever for Cassie, and
yeah,
then will get upset. Like, it's not like Cassie changed. Cassie was always like this. That's
yeah.
what I mean by pathetic.
But she did change Cassie in the sense of her love for Billy because she used to be a better friend and like care
Right.
about her more.
Yeah, that's true.
So in that sense, she did change. Um, but I saw a TikTok of this the people this group this book club that read the book, and they were going around saying, "Are you Team Cassie, Team Billy?" And there was a shocking amount of Cassies. I'm like, "What is wrong with you girls?"
Did they say why?
No, well, not that I saw. I just saw that little clip.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
yeah, I'm
also,
Billy 100%. Sorry, not sorry.
you're what?
Billy 100%. Cassie burned
100%.
my. She drove me nuts.
Cassie did?
Yeah, she was such a horrible person.
Yeah. She was definitely stuck up.
No, she was a bad person, and we'll get into it. I thought she was a bad person.
Okay, get into it.
Okay, so let's go to Billy's mom. Do you think Billy's mom was to blame for allowing the gross, disgusting boyfriend in her house around her impressionable daughter, even when she saw her daughter so uncomfortable around that disgusting specimen of a man?
So she 100% is to blame just because she saw, like, Billy said something about it, and her mom still didn't believe her. Like, Billy said that that gross man made her uncomfortable.
Right. And he sat there, drank beers, and like was gross. Like he was a gross guy.
Yeah, and it also annoyed me how, I mean, again, she was a child, I guess, but it did annoy me how she kind
Allowed?
of let it happen.
Yes. And her mom was like sweet as pie as far as how they were describing her. So it seemed so first, ladies like that, they're soft spoken. They're like, "Oh, lovey," and it's like they get away with like you're actually a horrible human being and a horrible parent. Like just because you're soft spoken, because her mom
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like a bitch on wheels and she wasn't violent or anything. So it's like, why didn't Billy feel comfortable telling her mom what's up?
Right. And yeah, because she kind of like, she didn't even turn a blind eye, or maybe she did. Like, she just didn't want to be alone, like the mother.
Horrible.
Yeah. And Billy was old enough to leave. I think she was like 18. And obviously she wanted to stay with her mother. But I don't know. It really annoyed me how she kind of just let it happen.
Yeah, we've said this with other like abuse cases. Like, I'll never understand it, and I'm not gonna pretend like I should because I haven't been through something like that. But kids in general, like they just like tell a kid a secret. Like you'll see they'll flap it out like in a second. Like they're so hard to contain and like get them to like act the way you want because kids are so rambunctious. I just can't imagine like you just don't let it out. Like again, there are obviously reasons and grooming and all that, but I just don't get it how they just don't come out and say it because kids are like that.
And she also like had an out when before they got married.
Right.
So like why didn't she press the situation and like tell her mom before she got married to the guy?
Her
And
mom
like all the
has
assets went to the husband.
right, and having that kind of why didn't she tell her school or like her school so they can contact maybe a government agency because the mom wasn't in her right state of mind, so she shouldn't have been able to get married in the first place, and that's it because she was already deteriorating mentally.
Right.
So she
So
shouldn't
yeah,
have been able to get married.
exactly.
So she should have said something. But she didn't, so she stays in the house, doesn't go where she wants to go. She makes a deal with the stepdad that he'll use some of the mom's money to help pay for her when she goes to college and whatever. So one day, Cassie comes over and she tells Cassie figures out what's happening because he abuses her, and then she comes over and they're on the roof talking, and the guy comes up being a whatever, and Cassie pushes him. Or in the book, does it say he slipped?
No, Cassie pushed him.
Okay, so she pushed him, he fell to the ground and died, and the nanny nurse just thought he fell on his own. And they covered it up. So that's why Billy's like feels so attached, and so does Cassie in a way feel attached to her.
Right.
Um yeah, so once they're in New York and they're adults and Billy has a great job like scoping out like vacation spots with her boss that she's best friends with, and then Cassie is an influencer and has a clothing store and married to like some Wall Street guy. So why do you think Billy so first Billy, when they're still talking, when Cassie meets, what's her husband's name? I forgot his name.
Grant.
When Cassie meets Grant, they have some sort of party and she invites Billy to meet him. And when Billy meets him, Billy's boss says that guy's a douchebag because he hit on me and I couldn't work with him because of it. And
And he
she
was
tells,
engaged.
and he was engaged at the time. So she goes and tells Cassie, and Cassie's reaction was infuriating.
Well, yeah, because she finally found that rich man with family money, and she was like, "You're not gonna ruin this for me."
But she
She
knows,
also thinks very highly of herself, so she was like, "Well, Grant didn't really like his last fiance, so he's not gonna do that to me, obviously."
yeah, but she knows Billy is not that kind of girl. She's not like some jealous, possessive, like competing girl. So she should have believed her. Like, that didn't make sense to me.
Well,
Ugh.
no. You know what was really infuriating about the writing of the book was that before they tell you what the incident is, and they bring this up at the very end of the book, but in the beginning of the book, like Jane talks about like, you know what Grant did to me, making it sound like he essayed her or like did something worse.
Oh, I didn't get that.
I mean, they like wouldn't talk about what he did to her. Like they kind of built it up and it was really just like flirting.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think that, but I guess. Um, so then they grew apart, apart, and they would bump into Cass would be having lunch with her friends, and then Billy would be coming across the street. It was all awkward. It's like, if you're that close to someone since you're 7 years old, why didn't Billy just come out and be like, what is your deal? Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this?
That's my point about why Billy is annoying. She's one of those people who don't have a backbone. And then in the end gets mad that the person was always like this. Like you're the one who put up with this for so long.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't you just say, like, why are you treating me like this? We're best friends. Like, do you want to say something? I don't know. Like, it was very odd. But Cassie, too. Cassie didn't want anything to do with her, but then she would pretend invite her and say she's going to do this and that. Like, why didn't she say something, too? Like, it was very. I mean, I know people grow apart, but I guess they really grew apart by then because they weren't keeping it real.
Well, yeah, Cassie. I mean, I don't blame the person. Like, Cassie is clearly not answering you. Billy would text her and Cassie would not answer. She said that they didn't talk for like 6 months. Or Cassidy, she would text her and then Cassidy didn't answer her for 6 months. It's like, hello, get the hint?
Yeah. But then also she's probably like, well, she has this new life. And yeah, I know. It is annoying. Because I'd be like, I'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, oh, you're going to act like you know me now in the street?
Yep.
I'd be like all sassy when I saw her. Okay, so one night for Cassie's birthday, her husband throws her this huge party in this penthouse they live in, and coincidentally, Billy's best friend slash boss just moved to that building and asked her to feed the cat while they're on vacation. So Billy hikes over there, and this is where everything goes to shit. So she goes in there and she hears a baby crying and she sees that she knows Cassie lives in the building and she sees that she's having a birthday, which she lied to her about and didn't invite her. And then she hears her baby crying in the veranda, but it's like, why didn't she just text her your baby's freaking crying? Or if she did go get the baby, which is insane, she climbed up the fire case stairs outside the building and grabbed the baby and brought her back down. Which, how do you do that through one of those stairs? But whatever. and keeps the baby forever and lets the baby sleep and everything. And then the shit hits the fan when they can't find the baby. And again, at that point, she could have just walked up to the house and said, listen, this is what happened.
That's my
Right?
point. It really didn't have to go that far because they've known each other since they were kids. She literally could have been like, I heard your baby crying and no one was paying attention to it, so I went and grabbed him.
I mean, yeah, she's going to look like a psycho stalker, but it's better than what happened.
Right. And I think it's so annoying that, like, babies cry all the time. Like, did she really feel like it was, like, death if she didn't go grab the baby?
Well, the baby was howling, but with that said, no one else heard the baby upstairs. Like,
Well, no, it was a party. There was music.
a baby's cry is insane. It's giving me flashbacks. But well,
Yeah.
yeah, so she takes the baby, and then I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, are you going to give the baby back now? And she kept the baby for like so much longer than that. I'm like, oh my gosh. So then she goes back upstairs, leaves the baby at like in the morning or something, and she leaves the baby at the door and leaves. And then I'm like, don't you think like they're going to see you through the hallway and like identify you? Like leaving the building and stuff. So that gave me anxiety. And so Cassie doesn't know this entire time. Oh, so because Cassie thinks somebody stole her baby, now all of a sudden she wants to be close to Billy
Right.
and tells Billy to come over. And again, Billy being annoying just does what she says. I'd be like, no, I'm busy.
Right. She drops her life, doesn't text her boyfriend back, and is just, like, hanging out with Cassie for weeks. Well, for days, and then the next weekend too, and the
No,
weekend
and when
after.
Cassie's like, no, could you sleep here? I'd be like, no, I gotta go. Yeah,
Well,
that
no, but
Billy
she
was
obviously
kind
is
of annoying.
obsessed. Well, she was obsessed with Cassie, so she would say, like, she felt great about this.
No, I know, but like to your point, Billy's like super annoying.
Yeah.
Like, say no, I gotta go home. I have a new boyfriend.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Billy's boyfriend is a cop, and she met him not long before all this happens. And her ex-boyfriend was that artist, right?
Yeah.
Artist, model, whatever. And they broke up because he wanted kids and she didn't. And then she stayed single for a long time because she was distraught. And then she met
Okay,
this guy.
wait. That's also the other thing about Billy. She just doesn't speak. Like, she knew she didn't want kids, and she knew Remy did. And
Yeah.
they were dating for like 3 years while she knew. Or like, I don't know, I think it was like 7 years.
Well, maybe she wanted to see if it'll like change her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she has a communication issue for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's true. But do you think she loved her ex-boyfriend or her current boyfriend more?
Probably the ex.
You think? Yeah. I kept thinking, well, they broke up because he wanted kids and she didn't, but I kept thinking, like, why don't you just make up with your ex?
Why would she make up with her ex?
I don't know, because she was single so long. She didn't like
Because she
anyone.
doesn't want kids.
No, I know. And she didn't want kids. Why? Because of what happened to her?
No. She said that she never felt the motherly inkling to have kids. Like, she just knew it. She didn't want them.
Right. So, anyways, they start hanging out. She brings, Cassie invites Billy's boyfriend over, which was a huge mistake because then they start talking about all this, and then her boyfriend looks into the kidnapping case of the baby. And again, Billy doesn't open her mouth to say like, no, I don't want you involved. Like, just say something, she whatever.
Yeah.
She let it all happen, and it kind of messed her up because he found, he found her out all that. But how did she? Oh, because when she went to a movie or a concert with her boyfriend, she ran into the boss slash best friend, and she's like, "Oh, I knew you took my hat from that night."
Well, yeah. Okay, that was the other annoying part. Like, the girl doesn't speak her mind. They were changing for the concert, and then he pulls out a hat, which is Jane's hat, and he's like telling her to wear it. And I would have just said like,
Yeah.
I don't want to wear this hat.
Well, she didn't know they were gonna run into her.
Yeah, but so, like, she was just saying, like, she didn't want to wear the hat.
But how did Cassie find out that it was her? By her friend?
Because McKay said that Billy was there the night of the party.
How did McKay know?
Because McKay found out that her boss was there.
Okay, perfect. So what did you think of McKay? She was so annoying.
Well, yeah, McKay's just, like, bitchy.
Super bitchy.
Like, stuck up.
Yeah. So what did you think of the reaction? What did you think of Cassie's reaction to finding out it was Billy and Billy's reaction to her?
I think there are proper reactions, honestly. I think the worst part about it is the fact that Billy let Cassie go crazy, thinking it was like someone trying to harm them, and she like could not sleep for weeks or eat. I think that part is like the worst part of the whole thing, not the whole taking the baby and giving it back. It's
Yeah.
the fact that she could have like stopped Cassie's pain,
It did
but she
bother
just
me
let it go on.
though that Billy didn't stand up for herself at least and be like, well, if you weren't such a freaking jerk to me, maybe I would have felt more comfortable saying the truth. Like, I don't know. Like, say something. Like, she just
Billy
took
didn't
it
stand up for herself once. I thought
not
at least
once.
towards the end she would have, but they even like stopped talking, and she never got to stand up for herself.
She's just like, I understand, you're right. It's like, no, say something.
Yeah.
Like, stand up for yourself. Like, she's a total. Okay, one of the worst parts of the book for me that I felt like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. When Cassie was in college and she had that cute boyfriend, a sweet boyfriend, and he invites them to his parents' house in Aspen, which was literally right outside of Aspen, and she thought he had all this money and that they were going to his gorgeous house in Aspen. And when they get there, Billy and who? Her boyfriend, yeah. Billy's boyfriend. It was her boyfriend, right? That went?
Yes, mother, her
So
boyfriend.
Billy's boyfriend, Cassie, drive up to meet Cassie's boyfriend at the parents' house, and the way she treated him was so hurtful and awful. I felt like this can't be happening. Like, how are you guys letting her act like this? If I was Billy or even Billy's boyfriend, I'd be like, you're like the worst person in the world, and we're staying here with him because how dare you treat him so bad?
That's the thing. Like, how does she not say anything? Like, she
But what
literally
about the
didn't.
guy?
She couldn't even sleep there for the night or pretend for the weekend. Like, she literally saw the house and was like, "We gotta go."
That's probably one of the meanest things I've like. That was so evil, mean spirited. Like, that's your boyfriend, and you're gonna make him feel like garbage because he invites you to his parents' house and you don't like the look of it, like, and or the location. Like, it was so heartbreaking. My heart broke for that guy.
Yeah, it was sad. But again, Billy just followed her, no questions asked.
And what about Billy's boyfriend? Why didn't he say you're a complete bitch
Yeah,
and stick up for that poor innocent soul? Like, it was so disturbing.
yeah, it was really sad.
I was very distraught. I was very distraught. I'm like, this has to be the worst thing I've ever read that someone did to some innocent person. Like, can you imagine that you invite your boyfriend to your parents' house somewhere and they get there and treat you like that?
Yeah, it is very sad. Very
It
rude,
was
but
really,
that's definitely Cassie. It's who she is.
yeah. And like,
Very upfront about what she wants, what she likes, has no care for other people's feelings.
right, but you liked him as your boyfriend. Like, how are you not? Like, that's just not human. It makes me think like she killed the stepfather like with joy because she's just like evil,
She might have.
right? She might have. All right, well,
I mean, she was evil, so.
yeah. So then Billy ends up with that guy at the end.
Yeah, I was waiting the whole time for one of them to like end up being crazy. Whether it was like Cassie comes out as crazy or Billy. Like someone to do something over the top. Kill someone, I don't know, something. But nothing happened.
But that was the point of the book, that they were two very complex individuals and it's like a story of friendship and how it can grow apart and how heartbreaking that is. And it happens to a lot of people. I mean, haven't you ever grown out of a friendship with someone you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like you want to hold on to it, but it's just not there anymore. So that was the whole point. Like you can't like they both are equally like flawed.
Yeah.
And like a tragedy held them together longer than it should have.
Yeah. And I mean, when tragedy did strike, before she knew Billy was the one who did it, there was still that love there. But,
Well, that's only
or
because
it's
she
more like
needed her.
dependency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know.
that's
Can you imagine she never found out? And then I wonder if, like, as time passed, if she would again kind of remove herself from Billy. Like, as the
probably
shock
not.
wore off.
Probably not because she was thinking like a different way, but then she bounced right back. And then her and Grant's relationship was sucky too, no?
I mean, yeah, it's typical. She went for the money, not for love.
I mean, but he didn't seem that bad to her.
He really didn't. He was just like a typical like jerk here and there, but also a lot of the times he wasn't the jerk, it was Cassie. So
Yeah. So
it's
yeah,
just
I
like
give it
two jerky people.
3.5 to 4 stars. Bye, baby. It's another one for the books.
Yeah, I would read another one of her books just because I like the way she writes. It's very easy to read, and like get into. I feel like a real story.
Yeah,
But
so tomorrow, so exciting. The third installment of The Housemaid. It's called The Housemaid is Watching. So that will
very
be
exciting.
our June, July book. And we'll review that next.
I'm very excited about that one.
So excited. We've waited a few months for that to come out. So,
That will be one of those books that you can't put down. Like you get excited to go back to it.
yeah. So, we hope you enjoyed this review. Um, we'll be back with The Housemaid is Watching next time. And bye for now.
Bye.